So, good morning to all. Welcome to our first class on mindfulness and meditation through the inner making of what we receive to be as real. Now, I have a lot of, question from all of you who know me through all the years. To give you a little background, my name is Rady Mom. I am a third generation healer practitioner. I've been practicing the art of healing for the past 30 years in all over New England. And I'm also honored to thank Dr. Wu and Grandmaster Wong for taking me on as well. And I study extensively through Dr. Wu for the past 20 plus years as well. And of course Grandmaster Wong for a numbers of years. So those are the teacher that I have trained with, and of course to my late grandfather, grandmother on both sides of the family. With this, the journey have brought me to many different aspects of my life, and it come to this point where I believe that I have the ability to share this understanding. I'm also a former monk with my grandfather. That gave me a little bit more insight to self and understanding whom I am. And for the most part, if we were to talk about our thoughts, I come to the realization that for many of us, of being human, we have a lot of thoughts in our given day. I believe that some of the science had even come up with a number of anywhere from 3 to 4 billion thoughts. If that is the case, I know that for many of us, we can only hold on to one or at best 2 of them. And I come to realize that when it comes to those 1 or 2 thoughts, it is because of our emotional attachment to these thoughts. And this is how we latch on to that thoughts, and we create it to be what is real. In my routine of understanding my own thoughts, now I could not have said this, which is to give a lot of thoughts to my thoughts. In present day, I really don't give much thought to my thoughts. But to look back, and even 15 years ago, or let alone 10 years ago, and as of late, even 5 years ago, I could probably have not expressed that statement that I just made. It takes time to realize that we are just mortal. And I believe that if we just give our own understanding that I am mortal, I'm not immortal, by that alone, we do not have time or any energy to think of ill wills toward ourselves or anything else beyond that, let alone to any other living being. But with this, when I say the ability to do your very best, it is because you know that time in your existence is short. Now, how so? Well, you see, when we live life to its fullest, it is short. But when you have the suffering in your own thoughts, it is rather difficult, because for that 1 minute, it seemed to exist for eternity. So with that, I want to share with you the ability to understand just in our own self. Now, we often seem to think that by existing outside of this physical, when physical I meant by mental state and your physical presence of your body, and we'll get into that as we progress in this program. And of course I look forward to hearing from you, and the more that you send questions to me, and I will elaborate on that, of course, one at a time, and bear with me to go on this journey. So the statement, as I mentioned before, to not give thoughts to thoughts is a difficult statement, because every day in our existence we exist with our thoughts. So how do we realize that our thoughts define? Well, two parts. One is that when you are able to translate the thoughts that you have and you entertain those thoughts, it's become real to you and only you alone. The difference is that you need to realize that your thoughts, sometimes it is just a thought. Remember those 3 to 4 billion thoughts that go through you? And yes, we can only hold on to 1 or 2 at best. And the reason why those thoughts come about and being real to you is because we latch on our emotional attachment to that. Now, in our existence as humanity, we operate under the 5 precepts, and those are compassion, passion, love, truth, and of course, emotional attachment. And those 5 intertwine, and this is how we operate every day. Now we know the difference between a friend or a foe. I guess we also call it good and bad. But as of late, I've also come to this understanding as well, that when it comes to good and bad, is there anyone in our existence of 7.2 billion being human can say that I am 24-hour good or I am 24-hour bad? So that alone will give you a lot of, head scratching, if you will. So to come back to our first class today, please understand that to come to yourself and be mindfulness. Now mindfulness sometimes can be a little bit misleading because there's so many out there that takes those words and kind of twist it in many ways. But from my own understanding, it is the ability to know my own breath. So to start with, let me show you. When you stand at the attention and open at your feet. You can also do a simple rocking back and forth. And remember that if your arm and your shoulder and your armpit, if it is all closed in, it is very difficult to let go. At this point, stand at a standstill. Open up your armpit. Go into your breathing. The breathing should enter your nose. Inhale as slow as you can. And exhale as slow as you can. Again, inhale. And exhale. Now, even that simple of a breath, I want you to think how that breath enters your nose as it bypasses all of your entire sensory. That breath should be felt all through your upper dantian, the head basically, and the back of your throat, as it goes back in, I want you to feel that expansion in your lungs and feel that wrap around you. Feel your breath, the calmness of that breath. And when you feel the sensation, I want you to see it just as is. Oh, and one more thing. When it comes to our thoughts and what we latch onto, I call this one the over-exaggeration. And by the way, this is how all of us seem to create a lot of misunderstanding for ourselves towards anyone else, but most importantly for ourselves. And that is the making up portion of entertaining and over-exaggeration of thoughts. So please learn to understand and ask yourself, is this thought real? And if so, how so? And those are the things that we need to do on a given day of our existence. And of course, do a little bit of self-check in the morning. Just to wake up in the morning and know that how wonderful that I have a blessing of another day. Putting a wonderful smile to your face and give the Creator this wonderful thankingness. Then of course, for all of us who knew that in a given day, in a given night, there are over 1 million people that never wake up again. And imagine that affect over 10 million people who lost loved ones, that they'll never get a chance to meet again. So for you to go and see your loved one and they too are still alive, you don't have to wake them up. But just to know that they're alive should be another wonderful smile in your heart, in your existence. That's called joy in your own existence already. And as I mentioned before, when you know that life for you is just your breath, no matter how big and strong we are just a breath away from moving on to the next passage of our lives. So in connection to our existence, please pay attention to just your breath. Inhale, exhale. As you inhale, I want you to pay close attention to that breath that enters your body as it travels into your lungs, into your entire organ, into your kidneys even. The ability to let your breath circle. And as you pay attention, you're going to feel this vibration that overcomes your entire body. It is an amazing feeling. That is life. And did you know that for every experience that we have from day one of our existence to where we are right now, it is as simple as this, that we experience that all of that life existent in us. We never experience everything outside of us. Now granted, the cortex and the eyes that see through the lenses and the light that reflect on that, so therefore we seem to see everything in front of us. But nevertheless, we experience everything of life all inside of us. And it takes a little bit of understanding for that. Now, the sum of what we gather in this thing that we call memory, it's in our mind. For all what we gather, apparently it's for one purpose only, that's for survival. Now, until we come to that understanding that I am surviving, then we as human beings, we want to expand. And that expansion comes in a couple of forms. One comes to my mind as of this, mentally, physically, spiritually. Those are the three things. Now, for the many who cannot come to any other expansion, it is because we still are wrapped up in fear. So learn to realize that even fear that comes into your existence, this is thoughts that comes in, and we over-exaggerate on that thoughts. 99.9 of thoughts that we project, that we entertain, is not even real, and it never comes forward at all. But because we entertain that thoughts and we latch on with our emotional attachment, we think that it is real. Those are the aspects of our lives that we should pay attention to. The more that we realize that it is our thoughts that come and go, and the only time that we should do self-check is when we ask ourselves that same question, and that is, what is this thoughts about, and does it have the real impact of my existence as of right now? And if thoughts want to prevail and push on even much more, please ask yourself that same question. Better yet, if you don't like the answer, ask yourself a better question. And if you still don't like the answer, I know this sounds a little bit redundant, but ask yourself a better question. You see, when we ask for an answer, I believe that sometimes we don't even know what we're asking for. And chances are, notice that when you ask anyone for their opinion, advice of life, about life, we seem to continue from one to the next until we get that answer that we are happy with. So what I'm saying is this: why not ask yourself a better question to begin with, instead of wasting all those time? Now, did you know that in our existence, for the longest time, we often associate the mind as this of what is the core control of our entire existence? Well, what if I say that in our mind alone, yes, we certainly have the ability to hold on to memory, but your entire physical body itself, for every cell that exists in you, it has its own memory. And this is why, even if you prick your finger, your other parts of your physical body can still function. And if you do not have that ability, just that one prick alone will totally put you at this entire frozen state where you cannot move at all. And the only time where your mind grab hold of this physical body, it is because the mind tells the body that I will take over, or better yet, it don't do that. When we see the pain or feel the pain, it is because of the mind telling the body and saying such thing as, do you remember that pain? And the body oftentimes says, no, I don't know, I don't remember what that pain is. And the mind just says, well, let me show you. Well, by that time, fear have already induced in you already. And that's why the heart palpitates fast. And we go into this hyper shock that we felt from this pain. So this is why when we come to our physical body, and notice that when you have pain, and when you are able to sit or lie down, and just to pay attention to your breath, that coming in and going out, notice how the pain dissipates. And the best way I can describe this to you would be like this. Now think of your car, which we drive every day. What if I say that the gas pedal, and let's equate that to our mind itself, and this physical body is the whole entire automobile itself. So naturally we start up a car, we put on drive, we hit the gas pedal, and the automobile move, and it transports us to wherever we want it to go. But when we come to where we are at, we put in park. When the mind still goes, it's as if you continue to step on the gas. The problem is your car is already parked. You continue to rev the engine. And so that's one way of seeing how this mind and body connect. You need to realize that you're already at park. Take your foot off the gas pedal. And this is what I meant by coming to your own physical mind and realizing that you are the one who's driving it, not the other way around. The ability for you to ease off the gas pedal. And you'll see that that pain that you felt just dissipate. When it comes to, you cannot stop your mind. Your mind is racing. You see, the amazing aspect of our thoughts, it's just like this. If I were to say, I want you to think of everything, and I'll give you a minute to think about everything in this entire world of ours, but you cannot think about a chimpanzee. Again, you can think about everything except the chimpanzee. Notice that the mind cannot stop thinking about the chimpanzee. So this is what we call running of the mind. But when you're able to come back and please entertain your thoughts. So I want you to think everything else, and also I want you to think about your breath. So same aspect again. If I were to say, don't think about your breath, chances are you're going to think about your breath. And notice that when we talked about our breath, as soon as I say those phrases, you have already tried to breathe harder. Now, for some, we say that I have the ability to control my entire physical body. That probably is true for some, but just for the sake of this portion of it, have you ever tell your lungs to stop breathing before? Have you ever told your heart to stop beating before? So as you can see, we're not in this aspect of our existence, the ability to control our entire physical nature. So in this connection to our body, please understand that your physical body, it is an amazing structure, and it's also, I guess, self-perpetuating. It can literally exist without you in it or me in it in my own physical body. Matter of fact, as much as all of the advancements of science and man travel to the moon, and as of late, we just sent a rocket to Mars and hoping to study this entire existence. I have to say that I think the advancement of science is right in here. When we're able to journey into this physical, mechanical, which is the most amazing existence of all of existence on this planet of ours, the more that we internalize and give ourselves the ability to learn from our own within. We call this one the journey inward. And the journey inward is not as if we can just turn our eyes inside and look inside of us, but it is the ability to look in our third eye. The third eye, by the way, is to look inside of us. Because for this physical body itself, we are a miniaturized of the cosmos itself. Right in here. You are a miniaturized cosmos. I prayed this many times and many years ago for most of my clients who ask about our physical body. I've often said that your physical body, it is to the exact of nature. And that is, you are nature in a physical human body form. What does that mean? That means you have the ability in your own physical existence to breathe life, give life, and to heal thyself by coming to understanding just from your intake of water, of the air that you breathe. And I know it seems so simple, but if you do so, I believe that you will not need to see any of your health maintenance provider. Now please, again, it takes time and it takes that effort to put into thyself. So with this, I leave with you today to not so much give thoughts to thoughts. And if thoughts arise, please ask thoughts. Is there a reason? Is there a purpose for these thoughts? Should you entertain these thoughts, make sure it governs you well. And that is loving kindness to yourself. With that, you're able to share that loving kindness to all of existence. Happiness and joy be with you. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Because that, it's life itself. Have a great and wonderful weekend as I look forward to seeing you next time.